First of all, we'll all be introducing ourselves. My name is Yenqing. I am the project director, project, project and initiative. Oh my God, wait. Project Development and Initiatives Director of Singapore, ICMS Singapore chapter, and
Okay.
Daphne and Tika.
Yep, I'm Daphne, the National Executive Director of Singapore chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm Ting Hao. I'm the EOP, the External Outreach and Publicity Associate. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the interview will last approximately 1 hour and to divide it into 4 parts. So there's part A, part B, C, and D. Part A, we will ask you some general questions to get to know you. Part B is where you'll be asked some further competency questions so we can learn about your qualities and skill sets. And part C is where you presented a simple case study question. And finally, part D will be a surprise. So that's fun.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll now be commencing with part A. First of all, can you please tell us about yourself?
Okay, so a little bit of background of why I came to Singapore to study. Because when it was time for me and my college friends, our batch to apply for university, it was about halfway through our A-levels course. And then for me, I'm still unsure of what I wanted to study. And at that time, I didn't want to do engineering or any like computer science or anything. So I applied for architecture in the first place because I want to learn more about how buildings can help to make the environment more green and sustainable for us to live in. But then, however, I didn't get enough practice. Like I didn't go for classes like drawing classes. So my drawing skills were not as good as what the architecture schools they expected it to be. So Singapore is actually my second alternative. And I didn't know that NUS, they didn't require a personal statement. So my first choice in NUS is actually architecture because I still want to learn more about how the building works, how we can make it more sustainable to the environment. But then unfortunately, they didn't offer me that as my first choice. So they offered me my second choice instead. And then aside from what I do, I like to read novels. Currently, I'm not reading anything right now because I'm too busy with schoolwork, but I like to read fantasy novels because I feel like when you delve deep into the novel, it's as if you're being transported to another world and you can imagine everything that's happening around the scene of the main character and other characters. Photography as well. I started liking photography basically when I signed up to join Instagram. I only joined Instagram like when I was about 15 or 16, and then I saw lots and lots of profiles with the profiles of photographers. They took nice pictures, and so I wanted to learn more about how the camera works. And so in my high school, I joined a photography club. And so from there on, I learned how the exposure works and how you set the lighting and all the stuff. So basically, that's all about me.
All right, thank you very much. I'm actually kind of interested to know, why did you develop a passion for sustainability?
Because during one of the chemistry classes, we learned about carbon cycle. And so from there on, I find it quite interesting in a sense that almost everything we use here around revolves around the carbon cycle. And so basically right now what we're trying to do is reduce our carbon footprint. And from then onwards, I became more aware of how the global temperature is rising and how the ice caps are melting. And I don't want to see this world to just disappear. I want it to go on. So I became more conscious of the environment around us and how I can play my part to produce less waste or to reduce basically the amount of plastics I use.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm just wondering, do you maybe plan to get back into architecture for graduate school since that was your first choice and you didn't achieve that?
If I were to go back to architecture, I don't think it's possible for me right now because my dream is actually to study in UK. But then, if you want to study for architects graduate, then you require undergraduate purpose, which is 3 years. So if I were to study architecture, I would have to go through undergraduate the 3 years first before I can go on to graduate school.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay. So I guess on to the next part. What are your current and expected commitments for the upcoming year?
Right now, because I'm learning a module that requires me to use Python, and I'm a beginner in programming, so I'm trying my best to cope with the classes, and I'm trying my best to score well in the exams. I had my midterm for my programming paper, and I think I didn't do well. So my goal in my first year would to, I guess, to say, be more familiar with the language and be better at coding. Because right now, compared to all my friends who took programming lessons before coming to NUS, they were able to complete the assignments within like maybe 1 hour. But for me, if the assignment's really difficult, I require maybe a whole day. So I would wish to reduce the amount of time I need to complete the assignment as well. And also be more familiar with the language and do well in the exams, I hope.
Okay, that's cool. So it sounds like your main commitment focus is probably getting better at your academics, mainly Python. Do you apply to any other organizations apart from ICMS?
No, I did not.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So for the next part, we'd like to ask you about your achievements. In particular, what achievement are you most proud of? And also,
Okay.
how did you achieve this? What obstacles did you overcome? And what did you learn from this?
I would say currently my proudest achievement would be my A-level grades so far because I did double math and double science, and my predicted grade for further math, it's also based on the benefit of doubt. It's only a B because I know that I was struggling really badly during the third semester, and then but eventually I did, I guess, quite well, and that's my most proudest achievement. So because we had a parents teachers meeting day, and so my teacher told me and my dad that he had a student before me who did maybe scored B's or C's in mock exams, but in the end in the final exam she got A+ because she worked really hard and she didn't give up. So I held on to that motivation, what he said, so I worked hard as well to achieve my my goal of getting maybe an A at least for further math. Yeah.
Oh, so like what did you do to really like get that A? You know what I mean?
I practice a lot of sorry, past year papers. So it's like every day after school I'll go back. I'll make sure I'll do at least 2 sets of past year papers. And from there on I realized that as I do more, the questions are getting easier for me to solve and I improve quite a lot from it. And I also have my friends, my classmates to thank for because whenever I'm stuck at the question, they would help me. They would go out of their way to help me solve that question as well. So I'm grateful to them.
Okay. Were there any like obstacles or struggles as you were like getting towards this goal?
Because other than that, I still need to focus on my other subjects. And since the lecturer only finished teaching the whatever that's needed to be taught like about a month ago before the examinations. Like for example, physics, the lecturer only finished about like 3 weeks or a month before the examination started. So I had to prepare for other subjects as well. So I find it quite difficult to manage everything. And then but good thing was that physics was one of the last papers, and I had 1 week to revise everything from start to the beginning. So that's one of the main obstacles to it.
Okay, just one last quick question about maybe your achievements. Is there any achievement, perhaps maybe not academic, that you are also proud of and you'd like to share with us?
Okay, because this is another background about me. In primary school, I've always wanted to join the English storytelling competition, but then I wasn't selected because I was a bit too shy. And then so in secondary school, our school had this. It's an affiliate with Toastmasters International. It's called Gable Clubs, which is for people younger than 18 who want to be a part of Toastmasters as well. So the club only started like right after I joined my secondary school. So I was the first one to complete the first manual, which is the Competing Communications Manual, and I was quite proud of it because I was able to build up the confidence to speak in front of an audience, and I was selected as the MC for several events as well. So that was quite an achievement for me, and also I was able to develop the skill to speak without prior preparation as well. So I'm quite proud of that achievement.
Okay, that's really cool. Sounded really cool for your self-development.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next section, we'd like to move on to perhaps motivations and vision. First of all, what do you hope to get out of your time with ICMS?
I actually want to learn more about business and stuff because I've never took any humanities based classes before. In high school, all my classes were all science classes. So, and then from what my father does, I'm quite interested in the stock market and cryptocurrency. And so, having a business background when I come from a science background, to me, it's quite a skill set that I would like to achieve. As it means that not only will I be able to do I'm what I major in, and I also have this additional skill set I can use when I go out to work or something. So other than that, I also plan to major in maybe business or entrepreneurship. So I know that ICMS they offer courses like um, investment banking and other workshops that would help me to learn more about this field that I've never delved in before. And other than that, I'm quite interested in organizing events that and work with other associates and maybe corporate people. Because my plan right now is that after my undergraduate studies, I would move on to masters instead of working for a year before. Because my dream is still to study in UK. So, but then the thing is, if I go on to masters first, I wouldn't have that experience in the working field. So I believe that ICMS would be able to help me to gain experience in that, so that when after I complete my masters, I would have less trouble trying to find a job or trying to find my way into this world, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that marks the end of part A. Ting, how would you like to take over for part B?
Yes. So I'm going to conduct part B. So I will be asking you about part B is for the competency questions. So the first question is, what are your goals in life? What steps are you going to achieve them?
My goals in life. I would say right now I would like to be a part of maybe like a group of individuals who's trying to work hard to perhaps promote awareness of how the environment is currently not sustainable right now. And then I actually participated in the Singapore Youth Action Challenge. So on last Saturday, I went to the first round, which is the sharing session. And so from there onwards, we were paired into groups to actually come up with a solution or awareness of. So basically, we were supposed to come up with a solution, or I guess anything that could help with this environment thingy. So in our group, our group is more focused on how to reduce general waste, and so far what we have is that sometimes we all buy stuff that are not necessary. Like maybe you see like the new iPhone is coming out, so you really want to buy it, but do you think it's really necessary? So our group is trying to promote this awareness to think before you buy. And so basically that's what I would like to achieve in my life, just to promote this awareness, I guess, like make people be aware that the environment's not gonna, like our world's not gonna last for long.
Okay. So for the next questions, I will be asking you, what do you do to remain engaged in a conversation?
I guess what I do to remain engaged in the conversation is to always be attentive of when someone else is speaking, and to mentally note down important points, so that whenever I have a question, I will be able to ask them. And yes, the main part of it is to be a good listener and not be distracted with anything else around.
Okay, so for the next questions, and share us one failure experience you had in your life and how it had impacted to you in life. Yeah.
Failure. I'm not sure if I can count this as a favor. Maybe it would put me at a disadvantage in this interview as well. But in my college, I actually tried to apply for the student council, tried to apply to be in the student council, but I was rejected. And so it made me think that I have to work on my interviewing skills. And so when I'm free, I would just like Google up videos like how should I improve my interview? How should I and go about answering interview questions? And I was actually quite sad that I didn't make it into the student council. So that motivated me to, I guess, be um, basically ask more questions that would be beneficial to me instead of remaining quiet all the time.
Okay. Yeah. It's good to try out. Yeah. So for the next questions, so I would like you to describe a situation where you have to change your plans at the last minute due to unexpected event and other stuff.
Okay, I have to change my plans last minute due to unexpected events. Do I describe the experience or how I feel?
Um, yeah, you can describe both your feelings and how think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, so this is another thing about me. I actually like music, I've started learning the piano since I was 7. And so last year, I bought a ticket to watch a recital. And the ticket was quite expensive, but unfortunately, last minute, I couldn't make it because I was in the school orchestra as well, and the performance was on that same day. And so I had to find ways to sell my ticket because I bought the ticket out of my own savings, and it was quite sad that I couldn't make it to watch the performance. But I but from there I was happy and sad as well, because happy because it was my first time performing in an orchestra, and so I was the pianist for that. It was a scary experience to me, but it was also quite fun because I got to work with other like-minded people in the practice, in the rehearsals, building everything that's building towards that one day. Even though I had to give up my ticket, I guess it's still worthwhile.
Okay. Yeah. So it's good to try, and congrats to you because you performed.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the end of the part B, and I will be conducting the part C, which I will give you a case. Yeah. So this is the case. You have invited a VIP to your event, but the VIP could not make it at the very last minute. So about a week before, and you have announced it to the public. How will you address this issue? Yes. Okay. So you have some criteria. Is the stakeholder management, problem solving, and adaptability. This is what we want to test you, so you can try it out. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't quite get what you mentioned about the stakeholders. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So because some you can think of like companies, we have stakeholders, and you need to be responsible to your stakeholders. Yeah. So this what we want. You can try it out, but you can
Okay, so basically these are the suggested areas that you can cover in your answer:
Okay.
stakeholder management, problem solving, and adaptability. But of course, feel free to to raise up to have to cover other areas as well. Yeah, but these are just the suggested areas that you can cover. Yeah, to answer this question.
So is it okay if I get this straight first before I move on? So there's this VIP event. The VIP could not make it, so I need to address this issue to the stakeholders of my company. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, you not only need to address this to the stakeholders of the company, but also because you have addressed it, you have announced it to the public of the presence of the VIP at the
Okay.
event. Yeah. So because this VIP couldn't turn up at the very last minute, so how would you handle this situation?
Would the last minute mean a week ago?
A week before, yeah.
Okay. So I guess the first thing I would do is to discuss this with my group members, those who are organizing an event, and see what alternative approach we can do. Perhaps maybe we could conduct like a live stream or something like that with the VIP, given that the VIP is has agreed to do this live stream, so that people would be able to come, but then just the VIP, him or herself, won't be there in person, but actually will still be there. If that's not the case, I guess the only thing we could do is to reschedule the whole event, but it's quite a big task, I would say, because not only the stakeholders would be involved in it because the public is involved as well. And my team and I will have to address this issue to the public. First, hoping that they would accept this, they would accept this sudden cancellation of the event. And I believe that the stakeholders, they would understand as well that due to unforeseen circumstances that the event has to be cancelled and maybe rescheduled at another time. And yes, the public will understand as well. So next step after suggesting to reschedule event, I guess we should have to contact the VIP and maybe follow his or her schedule instead. Because since the event revolves around him or her, it will not be fair to follow our schedules. So we would consult with him and maybe plan like the event at a later date that's in accordance to his schedule, and hope that the public would accept this as like maybe it's like an apology or something. I guess.
So, so this marks the end of the part C. So the following part will be part D, and yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you, Ting Hao. So I'll be taking you through part D, which is a surprise. Yep, supposed to be a surprise. Okay. All right. So imagine that we are a group of strangers that have never heard of ICMS. Pitch ICMS to us, and you're given 1 minute to prepare your pitch and 1 minute to present it to us after. So do you get the question?
So basically, I'll get 1 minute to research whatever I can.
Yep, to prepare your pitch, structure your thoughts, and then present to us.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so if you're ready.
Wait, I have like, can I write down some points as well?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. I need to get a pen, is it okay?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I repeat the question again. Imagine that we are a group of strangers that have never heard of ICMS. Pitch ICMS to us.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So if you're ready, your 1 minute starts now.
Okay.
Okay, your 1 minute is up and you can start pitching to us.
So ICMS is this platform formed by a group of young driven individuals, originally from the University of Oxford, with the goal to help nurture other like-minded Malaysians into giving trainings in areas such as personal development, CV, and resume and how to ace interviews. And ICMS is committed to the development of Malaysian youths, and basically there are three main sectors: is in the leadership, intellectual rigor, and career pathways. And ICMS, they also have two flagship events, which is the industry insights and the Malaysian public policy competition. So other than that, ICMS also partners
Okay,
with.
sorry, your 1 minute is up.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next section.
Okay.
Pitch yourself to us and state why should you be selected to be an ICMS 10 Council Junior Associate and not the other interviewees that we have interviewed. And again, you have 1 minute to prepare your pitch and 1 minute to present it to us after.
Okay.
Okay, so if you are ready, your 1 minute starts now.
Okay.
All right, your 1 minute is up.
Okay.
You can start your pitch now.
Why should you pick me instead of the others to join ICMS is because I'm an easygoing individual in the sense that I don't get mad or upset easily, because I know that it's hard to be on the receiving end of someone who's maybe impatient or losing their temper. And so I always try to be as patient as possible when maybe in group works and stuff. And also that I am trustworthy, because that I'm trustworthy and I will always get the job done as like with all the best that I could, and I'll get the job done before the due date. And other than that, given my experience in public speaking, I believe that it's a plus point for me in this industry. So I guess that's why you should pick me instead of the other people who have applied to join ICMS.
Right, thank you very much. That's the end of the interview. So do you have any questions for us?
I would actually like to know more about the culture of ICMS, and if I'm selected into ICMS, what would I be expected of my first project or something?
All right. So to answer your question on the culture, so I believe you have done your research, and I believe it's quite extensive. I think you have read our website a few times.
I would just like to know more about it.
Yeah. Basically ICMS, like you mentioned, we have really driven, smart people in the council. And I think these people are really passionate about what they're doing in serving the council and in developing Malaysians. So what you should expect as a junior associate. So basically, you would be attached to a division or maybe 3 divisions. So it could be corporate relations, secretarial division, or PDI. Yeah. and you will be given a chance to work not only on Singapore chapter, so meaning you help us to organize events in Singapore, but also you'll be given a chance to work with people from other chapters, other countries on international events. Yep.
Okay. So can you describe maybe like
Mhm.
the first project that, given that I'm an associate, what would I do?
Okay.
Hold on. Before that, thank you very much, Kaiji. But
Okay.
I personally have to go. But Tiffany and Ting Hao will be here to answer your questions.
Okay.
Just have a very great rest of the interview /
Okay.
Q&A session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yep. So you asked what kind of event you will be expecting to organize, is it, as your first
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, to be honest, we are still in the midst of finalizing our
Okay.
JATB program. Yep.
Okay.
So, but one thing for sure is that you will be involved in organizing one of our peer learning session for
Okay.
the Singapore chapter.
Okay.
But other than that, for the cross chapter events, right? We are still in the midst of finalizing, and we couldn't disclose it much yet
Okay.
for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
All right. Okay. So just to wrap up the interview, the results will be released in early to mid-November. So reminder for you to check your inbox or spam folder regularly. Yep.
Okay.
So yep, I think that's all for the interview. Yep, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yep, Ting Hao. All right, we're supposed to fill up the form now.
Okay, so I need to end broadcast, right?
Oh yeah, end the broadcast first.